others can come on and play some minutes, and also some others went out. It was, I think, safer to put Saka out. I think he should have done it half time. But overall, that was a smart move from Arteta, and the players have been so professional, so organized, structured. They did what they had to do. They respected Ipswich Town, and it's why they won 4-0. Everybody, players were spot on. I love the second goal. I mean, the Saka cross with the Merino. I think he did it on purpose. I think he really wanted to get Martinelli. Well, you know, I want to believe that he did it because I see his head turning, so I want to believe that he did on purpose, and that was great at the end of the day. Not everything was spot on from the Gunners, and nothing to complain about. That's the best way to get a game and to get the 3 points after a great qualification in the Champions League.
Well, it's an interesting balancing act, isn't it? You've got Palace midweek, then another game, obviously Premier League, and then it all starts again against PSG in the Champions League.
Week after next.
It's like, how do you kind of keep that momentum going, keep your players fresh, but then not risk any sort of injuries?
It's an occupational hazard, isn't it? You're not going to rest everybody because you want them to have that sharpness. Yeah. You want them to have that momentum and the confidence, and you know, seeing the goals go in like they are, and the little flicks by Merino, whether he meant it or not. Making sure your key players don't get injured. The game changers like Saka, who's back after a few months out, and we saw how key he was against Real Madrid. So it is a balancing act, but you want your players to be sharp enough, but rested enough going into the game. So you've had that game time where you're getting touches of the ball, you're getting your sharpness, you're getting some challenges in, but you're not tired and you're fresh enough to go out and play that. It's PSG, isn't it?
Certainly is.
And so you're going to need it for that, because they're a side that like to keep possession. Arsenal do as well. So it's going to be a battle of wits. Who's going to be chasing the tango in this game? Who's going to be chasing the ball the most? So that's, you know, Palace will be a tough one because they're a decent side, but I think he'll make more changes for that. Right. And then at the weekend, I think probably make some more, and then next week.
It is interesting, Stevie, because in theory, you just like, right, just wrap someone like Saka up in cotton wool until the first leg of the Champions League. But as Craig mentioned, it can't work like that. So explain to us from a coach's perspective, is it instinct? You're speaking to your staff, you're speaking to the player. Like, how are you working out how many minutes these players should be getting?
Well, I think the biggest thing is by now you should understand how each individual player, what makes them tick. You know, each individual player, some will be better off getting an hour in a game. Right. Some will be better off getting 45. That'll be enough for them. So you have to understand what your players are about, and then you work from there. Obviously, you've got so much staff now that you can just hand it off to somebody and say, right, I need to know in the last 4 weeks how many minutes he's had, how many he should have had, how many he needs, how many he doesn't. You know, it's just all the data, basically. You put it together and then you figure it out.
I mean, Saka, for example, we take him as one of the main guys. You need him. If they are going to win this Champions League, they're going to need all their main players. They're big players. I mean, they're all good players.
Firing on all cylinders.
They're all very, very good players, but there are some of them that are just game changers, and he's one of them. But you look at him, he's probably needing some minutes after 4 months out. Okay. Or whatever it was. He's had some, and he's looked sharp, and he looked good against Real Madrid. But after that long out, after a few games here and there, you're still chasing it a little bit. But it was a hamstring injury, and it was a bad one. Right. So then you're now thinking to yourself as a manager in a medical department, right, he's had a bit of game time. Is he sharp enough that we give him a rest, or do we need to give him a half against Palace or a half there? It is a difficult juggling act, because that hamstring injury that he had, talking about him in particular, when it's keeping you out for as long as that, then that's about as nasty as they come. So it's not easy. It's not, and it's why they get paid the big bucks, the managers. And thus far, he seems to be doing a pretty good job of it. And I'm sure come the PSG game, apart from the suspensions, he'll have pretty much the players that he wants.
Frank, as a player, for example, when you're building up something like the FA Cup final, what would you prefer?
I want to play. I mean, I love to play, especially because I was at the back as well. You normally run less than people playing as midfielder, and you are less in a position of risk, I would say, than people playing forward. So you want to play. You want to play 90 minutes. You want to go out and you want to play every game. Now it depends on it's really up to the coaches and the assistant coach and the physical coach to decide whether you should stay or not. But nowadays, as Stevie alluded, you have so many people, so you know exactly how many games they played, how many minutes they played, who should rest and not. But as a player, you want to play. I think Saka himself, I think maybe Arteta wanted him to go out half time, but I think he said, I want to try because he wants to play. He missed playing games, but I think it was safer again to put him out after. But if you're a player, especially when you had 4 months off, you want to play. And as defenders, mostly, I don't know what Stevie thinks, you want to play every game.
Lazy.
But the Saka thing, for example, the challenge he took today, you couldn't really see that coming. But I don't know what you think as a player. When you get into this scenario, you know you're not going to win the league now. So the big game is obviously the Champions League, because you've cemented, you're placed in the top 4. The other big thing's gone. So you can still play and get your sharpness, and if you're clever enough...
Liverpool wait a little longer to be crowned Premier League champions after thrashing Ipswich 4-0, but there were concerns for Bukayo Saka, who left Portman Road with an ice pack on his Achilles. So Arsenal continue their impressive week with a dominant win. Stephen, you were there for this game. Will his biggest concern, Mikel Arteta, be Bukayo Saka after that awful foul on him? We will look at that in Ref Watch. I don't think there's much debate over that one, but we will look at it again in that.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I was really surprised he started the game. I just thought after the short spell he's had back in the game and the intensity of which he's had to play, I thought it was a perfect opportunity for Mikel Arteta just to take him out of it and just let him recuperate a little bit, because a lot of the time when you come back from injury, you run off adrenaline and you're able to get through games and you can pick up other little niggling injuries. But Mikel Arteta basically said before the game, we won't allow Liverpool to win the title this weekend. So he went as strong as he could. I was surprised with how strong he went against Ipswich, because I thought, without being disrespectful to Ipswich, I think he could have beat them with a second-rate team. But yeah, Saka will be a concern, but I think he'll be absolutely fine, because if he was that bothered about him, he'd have left him off at half-time. He'd have took him off at half-time and not brought him out for the second half. So, yeah, he was back running, no problem in the second half. It doesn't seem to be a major issue for him, but he played extremely well yesterday, Saka.
Although those ones are painful, aren't they? We've seen Arsenal take on and knock out the best team on paper in Europe in Real Madrid. Why did they fall short in the league, Sue? How can they do that at the Bernabeu and play the way they have sometimes in the Premier League?
I think injuries have certainly, had an impact on some of the performances this season. I think they missed Ødegaard for a period of time. Maybe he's not had his best season, but we still know the qualities that he's got. Obviously then Saka, the number 9 position, injuries to them as well, and then defensively. So I think that's not helped at key parts of the game, key parts of the season. But I think, looking at them in the Champions League, both games, I thought they were brilliant, because I think they showed 2 different sides to the game. Obviously showed their, the attacking quality to be able to go and do that to Real Madrid, but then to also show how we know they can be defensively very sound and difficult to beat. So you had that individual quality, but then you also had that collective quality, both on and off the ball. So, yeah, I think some people criticised Mikel Arteta for rotating, especially against Everton. I remember where, he rotated his side, they dropped points, Liverpool then dropped points, and they said, that was an opportunity for Arsenal to put pressure. But I think sometimes he just looked at the Real Madrid game and thought, right, we need to make sure that we've got our best players fit and available for that. So you can understand it's a balancing act. It's the same with Saka, isn't it? You want him to play minutes.